Welcome back. Turning to new fallout over a Trump administration official and veteran of the coronavirus task force speaking out against Trump and also going further and being very clear, endorsing Joe Biden. The top Homeland Security advisor to Mike Pence says she's choosing country over party because of Donald Trump's botched coronavirus response.
It was shocking to see the president saying that the virus was a hoax, saying that everything's okay when we know that it's not. The truth is, he doesn't actually care about anyone else but himself. If the president had taken this virus seriously, or if he had actually made an effort to tell how serious it was, he would have slowed the virus spread. He would have saved lives.
Now, Olivia Troy was obviously close to the action in the room with this firsthand primary source knowledge of how the Trump administration really handled the virus, echoing concerns that, of course, were also recently documented by Bob Woodward, adding to a growing list of defectors that we've probably never seen in modern history of any White House administration. Think about this list of not just Republicans, but ex-Trump officials who publicly opposed Donald Trump getting another term. People like John Bolton, Jim Mattis, communications operatives and veterans of the DHS. Joining me now is presidential historian Nicolle Beschloss. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, how are you, Ari?
I'm great. You know, after a long week, I don't know about you, I feel like talking about any year other than the year 2020.
It's my luck. I get to talk and read about dead presidents. So welcome to my world.
There you go. Dead Presidents, also a great song by Rick Ross, referring to the dead presidents on the bills.
Of course.
Now, when you think about dead presidents and past history, it's become common to think, gosh, we're living through this special time. It's different than others. I'm curious, both in comparison and contrast, other times where we've seen administrations or top people say, you know what? Yes, I was involved with that president. They shouldn't get another term. And the power of that. Compare and contrast. Take it away.
Not in these kinds of numbers, Ari, and not with this kind of language. You know, you might have seen, for instance, 1996. Someone might have resigned from Bill Clinton's administration and said, I think he's gone too conservative on welfare reform or something like that. But listen to what we're hearing about. This is, you know, you elect Trump again, we may lose our democracy. You know, what we were just hearing a moment ago. In private, Trump does not care about those who are suffering and dying from COVID. Can you imagine if this were 1944 and someone from the Franklin Roosevelt administration in the closing years of World War II said he really doesn't care about the troops behind the scenes. He doesn't have a plan to win the war. That would have been draconian. This is something we really haven't seen before. Yeah,
and so what does history show, I guess, in your view, about the power of that? Because, you know, there are some people in any era, right, who are going to be so in their tribe, bubble, loyal group, that this doesn't affect them. But after a certain point, particularly as you mentioned, if it's about real nonpartisan issues, you know, national security, health security, life and death. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And, you know, what they're saying is not, I disagree with him on policy, or I don't think he's as good a president as he claims to be. What they're saying is this guy is totally different on the inside from what he represents himself as on the outside. Secretive, conspiratorial. You know, have you ever seen a president asking for non-disclosure agreements from the people who work with him? Maybe John Kennedy did with his household staff, but you sure have not seen it with the people who've been working in the West Wing on policy. So when you're a president who is this secretive and who is this different on the inside from the way he is on the outside, he should be very vulnerable to people saying, you know, I'm blowing the whistle. You folks better know what this is, and you'd better know what you're in for if this guy is reelected.
Yeah, and so when the president has his approach to obviously settling these feuds, impugning and demeaning anyone who turns on him, so to speak, how does that compare to the past? Because we have had very big brawls in American political life. We had a civil war. But again, it's hard to think of in the modern era someone who's, yeah, you could have an issue with this or that person, but the number of people who are close to him, Steve Bannon, Paul Manafort, Michael Cohen, that he has turned on is quite striking.
And look at the means he uses. You know, you and I, if we were talking about this 10 years ago, I think we would have said, A big part of democracy is openness and criticism of a president. That's what the founders wanted. It makes the president perform better.
Sure.
You know, this has to be done in public. Instead, this is a guy who wants to be as secretive as possible, shut people up. Look what he did to John Bolton, who, at least while he worked for him, was very loyal. You know, John Bolton is in danger of going to prison for the pleasure of having, worked for Donald Trump and written a book that apparently was cleared by the government. That's what it's at stake now. And if you have Donald Trump reelected to a second term, what kind of vindictive moves might he take against people who have crossed him and said things to the public that he did not want them to say?
Yeah, and you bring up a very important point on Bolton where, as we've reported, some of the underlying issues may be legitimate. There are classification reviews, and yet when you couple it with the controversy over the Seattle mayor, the public demands to indict Comey, Clapper, McCabe, all of this stuff that's really reminiscent of, as some have put it, a more authoritarian approach.
This is what dictators do, and you've got an attorney general. He seems very willing to put people in prison if necessary to intimidate the political opposition.
Yeah.
This is un-American. It's unlike anything we've seen in the presidency before.
Important words, and it means a lot coming from you, sir. Michael Beschloss, always good to end the week with you.
Thank you. Same here, Ari. Be well.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.